All right, here we go, Coach. Sitting near or in the nation's capital, American University. Tell me about what's going on with the program right now. As we're getting into the start of the season, what's the wrestling schedule look like for your wrestlers?
Yeah, right now we're pretty well into the preseason, which for most wrestling people know, right? A lot of running, lifting, right? You're starting to get on the mats, shaking off some rust, refining some skills, getting in better shape, bringing that weight down, all the things that lead up to setting yourself up for success when you start competing. So we're about a little over a month into the classes, so starting to get into the meat there as well. So yeah, the rubber's starting to hit the road, so to speak. But guys are looking good, feeling good, and excited to start competing.
All right, so I think as a fan, we're all excited to get this thing going as well. It's been a lot of coaching changes over the last year, but obviously you guys went through some changes not that long ago, I think 4 something years ago, right? So coming from the West Coast to the East, just non-wrestling related, what's the biggest difference top of mind that you see from the West to the East?
The biggest difference from the West to the East? I'd say maybe like culturally, the West Coast, I feel like is maybe like a little bit more like just laid back and like, kind of, we'll get there when we get there type of thing. Whereas on the East Coast, like it's a little more, sense of urgency, right? Like people are, I used to say when I would like visit, New York City or something, it's like people always seem like they're on their way to do their most important thing of the day, which is, it's good, There's good people in both though, so.
All right, so from a coaching perspective, talk about some of the differences or changes that you brought through your experience to American.
Changes can come into American. I don't know. I don't think we've changed too much as a coaching staff. I mean, you have your values, right? Your things that you feel like are important as far as preparing, your guys for success. I think those are very similar. I think kids are very similar. The 18 to 22-year-old kids, whether they're from the West Coast, the Midwest, the East Coast, you may have some different experiences, but generally you need the same things, right? You need support. You need some accountability at times, and you need to have big goals. I think wrestling-wise, coming from the West to the East, just having come out, grow up in California and coming through that process, I think maybe there's a little bit more of a disconnect in the bridging that gap between high school and college wrestling. Whereas on the East Coast, like, we have more programs, there's more opportunity, there's more visibility. So I think it's not as far-fetched for guys to think that they can, wrestle on at the next level, right? A lot of guys, expect to do that. And it's just quite honestly because, the density of programs, right? There's more opportunities, there's more, visibility for college wrestling, which is a great thing.
So give me your pitch for that West Coast guy, because you have California guys on the roster right now, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me what that pitch looks like to get somebody to come from beautiful, sunny California to come out here to the nation's capital.
Yeah, for our West Coast guys, obviously we have my connections run there pretty deep, my family coaching there as well. But I think it's just about getting them out here, and letting them see it firsthand. I think a lot of times when people think of like DC, they think like this urban, like kind of concrete jungle, and you can tell walking around our campus, like that's really not the feel. Like we're a residential neighborhood. I mean, the campus is green, it's small, it's intimate. So I think seeing it is a big part of it. Get them to take that leap of faith, and that's for California kids or kids from central Pennsylvania, right? Just being there is important. And then just give them the opportunity to be around us and see kind of what our values are, right? How we run things, what our expectations are. And then finally making them understand, whether you go to school, 3-4 hour drive away or a 3-4 hour plane flight away, like it's a very similar experience. I mean, if you're talking about getting involved in Division I wrestling, like, it's a big undertaking. I always tell kids, like, it's not something that you should step into lightly. Like, you really need to make decisions like, this is what I want. Because for the general person, right, like, it's probably not what they want. Like, it's a lot of sacrifice. It's a big commitment.
So peel back the curtain on that culture, on those values that you talked about with your coaching staff here. What kind of values are you going to instill in our wrestlers that are coming here?
Absolutely. We try to talk about our core values and keep in front of mind as much as possible. Big one for us is family. We talk about how families operate, right? That you're not always going to agree with everything that your family members do, but at the end of the day, they're part of your family, right? So you love them. So even when you have disagreements, you get angry at each other, you fight, you argue, like you come back together, right? Because we have kids from all over the country, all over the world, really. Kid from Kyrgyzstan, so they have different experiences, they have different perspectives, and so they need to be able to to function well as a unit. a lot of the other things like that. I mean, integrity, hard work, sacrifice, things that I feel like are fairly universal, among wrestling programs. But what we try to do is, like I said, keep them front of mind, and you point out those tangible, like, opportunities for guys to see them in action, right? Because it's one thing to talk about it and post it on the wall, but it's another thing, like, to try to get the guys to live it and understand it, I feel like.
You talk about opportunities on the mat. Let's talk about the opportunities that are in the classroom or postgraduate from here at American. What kind of opportunities are these guys walking out into the world with?
Yeah, no, we're very fortunate in that sense. Academically in a prestigious school, have a lot of connections. The network is strong. The university network is strong for the general student, and then certainly you add a layer on top of that, for the wrestling student athlete, right? Because we all know, wrestlers, you just have that bond, right? That immediate, connection. But we're very fortunate where we're at too. I mean, being in DC, being in a major metropolitan area, although we don't live in it day to day, like, it's a 15, 20-minute drive down the road. So, when classes end, even before graduation, there are opportunities, to do jobs, get paid internships, right? Where you're having that kind of extended interview, before you get to graduation, so you kind of know what you're doing when you're done.
From a student perspective, I'm going to get personal here. I love coming to the nation's capital. I love walking the National Mall. I am proud to be an American. And right behind you, it says American Athletics. Is there a sense of pride here at this school?
Yeah, absolutely. When I came here, being raised in California, what Washington D.C. is, right? It's like, that's the center of the country. It's the nation's capital. It's where all the main decisions and the most important decisions for the country are being made. I was surprised when I got here, like, how much smaller it is. Yeah. Like, it just geographically and, like, population-wise, I was expecting this massive, massive place. But yeah, it's really nice. I have a family. I have young kids. We spend a lot of time in the National Mall, checking out the museums, and there's so much history, right? There's so much to learn from, and to learn about the country, and it's really awesome.
All right, Coach. Thank you for rolling out the red carpet to me. It's been awesome being here. What am I missing? What do you want to add?
I think you just about hit it. We're super excited for this year and the years to come.
Thanks, Coach.